Hello. There it is there. There's your local trade spotter. This is a 15-second time frame. Are earnings coming or not? Coming or going? Earnings not out yet. GameStop earnings. Welcome to Tradespotting, where we bring you the latest updates. Today on GameStop and the financial world. In this video, we'll have a complete and thorough investigation of those earnings when they come out, delve into the results, shift our focus. GameStop themselves shifting their focus from online collaborations to Telos instead of previous partners, and focusing on the brick and mortar stores over the last quarter. Whirlwind of change at GameStop. The beloved company among enthusiasts set to announce these highly anticipated earnings shortly. Typically they are a little bit late. People in the chat box saying they were cancelled, eh? Big panicky news. Panic. So you've got no necessarily any signs of this downtrend abating. It's all post-market, so I would take everything with a barrel of salt. I'll just go with this. You've got your bullish divergence on the low in the 15 seconds. Price actions come back up and tested the downward sloping trend. Previous low from that inflection move. Resistance currently around 22 and change. A lot of people familiar with that figure on GameStop, 22 and change post-market prices. Analysts expect earnings per share of between -12 and -15 cents. This is a 94.2% increase year over year. Revenue estimates stand at around 1.36 billion, which is a slight decline compared to the previous year. Obviously, when those results come out, we'll see them for ourselves, pushing down below 22 again. As we explore their earning performance and check out their own track record of outperforming estimates, we'll see how price evolves. Recent revisions in earnings per share and revenue estimates from analysts would come with a degree of caution. If analysts are downgrading expectations, then it's not just the analysts that you should be suspicious of. But that's not all. Yeah, as I say, we've shift focus like GameStop did back to their brick and mortar stores. A little bit unexpected. That was the most recent news at the previous earnings. Scrapping their plans for more e-commerce warehouses. So we saw that in the distribution news with the warehouse closing and those forklift sales. They even closed an e-commerce customer service center. So still potential leverage in those stores to increase distribution and growth. We can also touch on AI if you've been following along recently with the AI fund. Ken Griffin's managed to get his word in, CEO at Citadel. He believes that AI, while it has transformative potential, that it's hype. It's all hype and it's overblown. So I imagine that means he's short NVDA. And he dismisses fears of job elimination. Yeah, nothing to worry about here. Move along, says Ken Griffin in typical Ken style. The AI industry is still abuzz despite his dampening efforts with developments. NVIDIA, Alibaba, SenseTime, Baidu all launching their own generative AI services recently. Chinese organizations launched an impressive 79 large language models in the last 3 years. Holy sugars. And that GameStop, can you stop this already? Right? This is a third touch of bullish divergence. Could arrest that downtrend. If it was to push back up again from here, you've got your resistance levels. Prior support, now turns resistance. You've got your 50 simple moving average, your 236, your 22 spot 91, and then below that your prior high at 22.47. If you're putting another low high, 21.98, $22 could be resistance again. You slip below this prior low. Falling down again. You might be looking at extensions from this guy. Previous low, taken back up again. 1.41 already at the 1.31. $20, 1906. Any further, you'll be down at that $18 and change target that I just flashed up briefly. Hey. Returning in a GameStop. Returning at GameStop. Brace yourselves. Brace yourselves. Returning to GameStop. Where are these earnings out? Refresh button. There they are. They're out, folks. Boom. I'll add that now. Add that window so you can enjoy them with me. Add. And here they is. The earnings. Price action, earnings, and your local trade spotter all in one chart. Where is my video gone? There he is. Right, so here's me down with price action in the corner back where I used to be. You're like that. Stop focusing on these things, spotter. Right, okay, so this is it. GameStop closes first quarter 2023 results. Call isn't necessarily on yet. Net sales 1.237 billion compared to 1.378 billion, so revenue down. Selling, general and administrative expenses 345 million, 27.9% of net sales for the period, compared to 452 million or 32.8% of the prior year first quarter. So a significant improvement there in cost reduction. Net loss was 50 million for the period compared to 157 million for the prior period first quarter. So significant improvements. Transition, vroom vroom, related to European restructuring efforts, 14.5 million for the period, closing a number of stores, as you know, a couple of different European countries. For the second quarter, the company will continue to incur transition charges. So again, transition costs, but 14.5 million in order to reduce costs significantly from 32 to 27% of sales. This is obviously good for the efficiency. Cash equivalents, marketable securities, 1.3 billion at close of quarter. Long-term debt remains limited to that silly French loan they still got. Bloop, bloop, bloop. Right, escape. And then on to the details. There's your net loss, 50 million. Significant improvement. That. Boom. And then loss per share, 17 cents. So 2 cents off. Not particularly fantastic there. Greater than 10% worse than expectations, leading to a negative implication for price, going from 26 at close to 21.34 at the time of my mouth making those syllables. So, yep, GameStop taking a hit of $4 or $5, which is obviously a significantly higher percentage than what we saw with regards to the earnings per share there. So the market was anticipating slightly better results than we saw. Basic shares outstanding, diluted net sales increased slightly, positive, gross profit up, net loss significantly improved in that percentage there. That's quite good bottom line. Overall total assets down a little bit. Positive news overall. And the call, not yet here. 2022, as you can see, they give you those 10K earnings and a webcast. And 2023, all we've got so far is the earnings, which we've had a look at. Can continue to do so. If you've got any questions, let me know. I'll try and get the chat box up here better than just on screen. User watching. Give me the chat box. There it is. Everyone's hurting my heart today. Crazy Nine, you're gonna have to just take the day off. Ryan Cohen just tweeted, not for long. Ryan Cohen tweeted, not for long. But it's a short format sort of platform, so it's quite good, you know. And we like a little bit of velocity, so those things go hand in hand. Should have solid calls, man, but I wanted to be safe. Should have sold the calls, man, but I wanted to be safe. Should have sold calls, but I wanted to be safe. Well, there's perhaps you're saying that because you didn't own anything and you wanted to sell calls, but that would have been like without holding the underlying, just selling cold calls. That's very dangerous. And down we go. That was me. Got to catch up to the recent conversations. Hello, Jose. Hello, Dirty Jez. Hello, Wiki Wilts. Hello, Nick. Hello, Merrick. Great to see you, the Ball Hennings. Alvin. So GME, moon tomorrow. Tomorrow is Thursday. Does it moon on Thursdays? I thought it took Thursdays off. Nick Curry, I was just hesitant of the risk of getting assigned. Yes. Wiki Wilkes, full disclosure, I didn't sell calls either for the exact same reason. GME moon today for those prepared. Did get to some people's targets, which is good to see. The call was cancelled. Okay, so the call's cancelled and we're only going to go... So you got Tradespotting's version of the call. Okay, well, this is what I would have said if I was CEO at GameStop. Yo, guys, right? You know, we're trying to transition the business. Well, we've decided that along with that, focus on e-commerce and these new partnerships that we've got. Like, they're all over the place. Everybody wants to work with us. And each time it happens, we get more and more distribution and more advertising. Everything's pretty, generally speaking, positive on that front, though it doesn't necessarily need to make great strides on their own. We've also got this idea that we can get more out of these brick and mortar stores, and we can do better by the staff who work in them. So we're going to improve the working conditions as we've done, but we're going to reduce costs so that we can focus our economies all in one place. And it doesn't happen immediately overnight. I'm sure you've heard that before. Thanks very much for sticking with us. We've managed to reduce costs here by significant percent, right? 11 to 4% overall from net sales. That's good to see. Also, you know, chaps and ladies and gentlemen, while we have actually missed the earnings per share targets that the analysts expected, what did they know, right? We don't disclose our figures and accounts to these particular types of individuals ahead of time, and we don't structure these accounts in order for their particular ear. So, I mean, just to point out, we've still got cash and cash equivalents of 1.3 billion on hand, and it's all good, man, right? Anytime we want to, we can put out more information about this partnership we've got planned, which we initially thought about as a partnership. We explored it some more, and we're probably going to buy somebody because everybody's a little bit cheap. But there's the odd company that's gone up more than we expected. So, you know, we're still holding out on that because, you know, we need to ask we need to just double check, you know, we've got our purse and whatnot. Sorry, we'll just wait till it's a little bit cheaper. So that's generally speaking what's up, right? We're ready to pounce. We've got loads of money. You guys are still with us. We're still working really hard. Ryan Cohen's still here as determined. Brilliant news, right? He could have left any time he wanted, but he's still here, so that's a positive. You're still here, so that's even more positive. And then we've got this Tradespotting guy on the YouTube. You should check him out. That's what I'd be saying if I was the CEO. And I'd also be that Tradespotting guy. I mean, he's incredible. You should hit a like and subscribe to his stuff. Anyway, I'm going to stop doing this now because the third person and the projection into the board there, it's all very confusing for me. What's SPY been doing post-market as it happens? Not very much, right? It's far more exciting to be looking at GameStop itself, though. Not doing all that much right this second. Hey, GameStop. Hey, 21% post-market. Hey, after a 5% up. Bing bong, the sale is on. It's back on, the sale. What's your favorite GameStop price? Well, you've got a trend line there to look to, eh? You've also got that divergence we spoke about, but that doesn't see price action doesn't really care about divergence on 15-second time frame when it's got a trend, right? The trend, it trumps the divergence. So, what screen are you looking at? You're looking at the right screen. Aye. So you got the webcast. I mean, the details are there. We can go over them some more if you want. Price action, it's downward sloping channel at the minute. Whoa, where'd you come from, buddy? And yeah, so resistance, previous low, support, resistance. Take this guy down. Your major extension is 1.14. I probably mentioned that. $20 and whatnot. We did. What did it test in at around just under 20? Ooh. Anywho, so you've got this downward sloping resistance, and you've got this support line running parallel. Price action, obviously a little bit divergence, but it wiped that out with the most recent thrust down. Put on a 1 minute time frame. It's still only been post market for a little bit of time, right? Not going to get any information here with it pushing both into them and oversold. Oof, I just got back. Anyone TLDW for me? Too long didn't watch. Oh my goodness, you have to. Didn't watch. Too long didn't watch. What happened was GameStop's earnings results out, called cancelled, costs reduced from the equivalent period last year at 11% down to 4%. Right, that's very good news. restructuring abroad. There's transition costs involved, but also, managed to reduce significantly those costs, so much so that we've got a huge surplus compared to, the massive change from first quarter last year. 1.237 billion for the period compared to 1.378. So revenue not as high as we were expecting. Well, I say we, but the analysts. And selling general administrative expenses costs significantly reduced by over 100 million there. So 100 million less, not bad. Revenue also down by the equivalent amount, right? Equivalent amount. Revenue costs. That's great. If you get those better efficiencies, great. I mean, it's really no change. This is what people will be talking about. Like, oh, they missed revenue by 100 million. Bleh. It's like, sure, but like they immediately got that there back. And the earnings per share, it's just the way they structure the loads of information in accounts. You could just structure it slightly differently, and it wouldn't be. It would have met the 15 if they wanted, right? And then what? You would have met analyst expectations, and then what price would be different? The value company would be different? No, not at all. It's sentiment that brought it here, and then a little bit of increased selling, obviously. 15-second time frame. We've got this downward sloping channel, price action stuck within it. Can you see that? Yeah, you can. There you can. You don't need to see this anymore because I've talked about it. But if you want to, ask me. Boom. That one. Shitbox. Panic correction. But once everyone cools down, we might be back up. Maybe not to 26 for a while, but at least a bit up. Maybe. Plus shareholders meeting could bring something too. Could do. Would be interesting. It's not for long. Tradespotting. They're doing a conference call apparently. They're doing a conference. They're not doing it. Yes, not doing the call. I gathered that from the messages. Thanks, Philip. Thanks, everybody. Order hit to buy with that same money in at $20. Deeper is the volatility. Oof. Merrick, hey? 20% moves. Post-market. All happening in minutes. Plus shareholders meeting. Yeah, there's always panic in the discos. True story. Right, folks. So that's the take on the news. I'll give you the news. I'll give you the rundown on GameStop's fundamentals before the earnings call there with regards to news and how we should be looking at the future. I mean, these earnings calls things and accountants, right? It's all well and good, but it's very difficult to talk about your subject matter without speaking in the past tense when this is all past data, right? And it's all then comparative to a year ago, right? And at that point, it's like, this is now basically useless because we all know we've been sitting through this long trudgery thing because it changes. And like, so you're looking at a different business and they've got transition costs. It's like the third bullet point in there. They're still changing the company. So like you're comparing it to previous times where it was presenting the same earnings. It's like the same period and same quarter. It's obviously useless because the whole intention was to change the business and transition away from all that. So like, why would we compare it to that? We compare it to the forward-looking objectives, and that. So that's what I much prefer to do. Also, because I'm a trader, that's what's relevant. Whereas all that other stuff's just news, right? It's just news. And so what's the future news, right? Well, it's about GameStop transitioning away from the e-commerce stuff, but they're not. They're still building that side of the business out. It's just they've got an extra focus on trying to maximize revenue from the stores, which is a positive situation if people are like, shopping at the minute, right? And they want to buy stuff in shops. Well, GameStop will take advantage of it right now. And they're still transitioning into these other things, as evidenced by the recent partnership with Telos, who themselves are a not-for-profit Web3 blockchain, all about launching games and doing the same strategy that GameStop have always been doing. So, when you take the accounting principles and just slot that 100 million from costs somewhere that it doesn't mean that the earnings per share met expectations, you'd have had a total different reaction. But there were still people taking profit because it's an event, and there was more selling than buying because it's a risk on at the minute, especially because stock market has pulled back from its most recent highs that it was doing recently, end of last week, start of this one. That's the highest close it's had in 2023. And we did speak about GameStop getting to these top targets, 24, 25, 26, 27, maybe even. If SPY was hitting 430, and if SPY could break that, it would go to 450 and GameStop would be up about 35. But obviously SPY turned down as you'll have noticed that if you were looking at the markets yesterday and today. And then GameStop coming up, earnings. There's a flash at 20 spot 93. You broke out of this downward sloping channel, as you can see. Price action coming to test that high it made on this recent oscillation. 236 still relevant, up at 21 spot 75. And there's a flash down at 20 spot 93. 15 seconds post-market time, post-market. But you could, imagine it to be any asset. That's a trade, especially if you get a divergent high. Not yet, but you could get another thrust up to that 236. Imagine the amount of chocolate on your biscuit. Oh, that'd be nice, but sure, just made the move there. So if it does come back down, you've got this downward sloping support, now potentially resistance, or resistance now potentially support, and then the prior low. So $20 would be great. That was the previous level. Looking left, you can see the reasons why you would slow down here. If you were to take this as your peak off this guy and you're saying that's 886 retracement, boom, if I stretch out, then you see 21 spot 40. It's going to struggle to get back above there. It's also where your momentum's reaching overbought. It would be significant if it managed to push into that bullish control zone there. I think that would be enough to break above 886 and then try test this prior high or the 886 of it, which would be in around a one of this 21 spot 60, but it's struggling at the minute, so we'll see. But ciao. Yeah, so anyway, GameStop doing the Telos stuff. Updates, collaboration, I suppose, rather than a partnership. And these sort of things significantly shape market perception and sentiment. Lots of drawings. You don't need all the drawings. 50 simple in it around that 20 spot 93. That would be a nice area of fine support and continuing uptrend. So also bear in mind though, this is definitely not trending to the top side whatsoever. And you've got peaks on the momentum. So that's what to look to, folks. What else did I miss over here? I haven't got the fax machine beeping at me, so I'll check this tab. Boom. Up, down, $10. JS, thank you so much. The movement goes forward. Very much appreciated. And then Minner. Oh, yesterday. Thank you. Hope you've been well. Can we look at RGTI when you have a chance? Regete. Oops, that's not them. That's a completely different thing altogether. RGTI, quick look at it, and then I'll do a proper answer for you another stage, Merrick. Daily time frame, you've tested that 200 period moving average. You're still in the bullish control zone, so I'm not arguing with that. You've got a positive slope on the 50 simple, but it could be support if it did retrace back down there. Don't need the extra hours. Regular, breaking your previous high, divergent, 50 simple about to cross the 200. Easily could come in and test that cross. If that happens below 0.82, then it'd be breaking its structure. Hourly time frame already looks like it's going to break that 50 simple with this divergence unless it picks up tomorrow morning, which would rely on that sector doing well. You can see that it's potentially coming in and testing this trend line. If I could draw it anyway, it's better than that. If it is to come in and test this guy, 200 period moving average, early sign we're breaking that 50 simple in 1 hour at 0.97, 15 minute time frame. Let's go and see what it's doing. Post market, it's only pushed up by a cent, but trading at 1.03, that's enough. So yeah, it looks like it's trapped here, rolling over a little bit, and it's not got enough people buying it at this area with this peak just to the side. What on 4 hour time frame does that look like? You've got your 886 retracement there as well. So this thing needs to recover, exceed that prior high, beat the 886, test this guy in at around 157. If it does, you'll get your extensions. And if the sector is exploding, you'll see this all the way up at 286. If it's itself, then it'll be 188. And looking to this level at 230 suggests that you would have to be taking profit along the way. Looking for entries, anything that drops below the 50 simple also loses golden pocket. So, and a 382 is not a significant area of support. So 200 period moving average, if it doesn't hold, dodgy, right? Because it's just then another lower high, and you've got, like I say, divergence in lower time frame. So that's to be aware of. Right, root still trading over $6. Good to see. Any little bit dodgy there. Rocky's show today was fantastic. Check it out if you've got any interest whatsoever in Bitcoin. The news and the charts. The news and the charts. I wonder if that's a little bit of an inflection point there. Probably not. Downtrend. So GameStop, 26 spot 11, post-market 21 spot 28 currently. Low of the day, just under 20 blabs at 19 spot 90, let's call it, because that sounds good. We love the 90s. Hey, what say you, chat box? Did you hit the like button? 23 months, I'm not a cat. Thank you very much. I put all my spare cash into origami business, then it folded. Oh no, how many times? No more than 7. Phoenix from the fire legislation should apply to these origami businesses, but they've got that natural built in, isn't it? See that record for folding paper? I think it is a Japanese girl that got it too. It's like she's you know, you can only fold it so many times. You can only fold anything like 7 times. Anyway, I think she did the one that was the thickest. It was like 7 or something, 4 football fields worth. But anyway, you don't care about that. So Cohen tweeting. What's he tweeting now? What's he been tweeting lately? Enough of this silly TA and tickers. What about you, Tradespotting? How's things? Smiley, Wander, whatever. Well, I've been trying to sort out all the background stuff in it so that I'm more able to make all of my efforts sustainable and efficient. So that's what I've been doing in the background. Also, wow, somebody got a membership gift. Wiki Wilkes. Wow, quick. That was like, you know, at the weddings when the women chuck the all the flowers, and then Wiki Wilkes, you caught it, Wiki Wilkes. Congrats. Much love. That's nice. Right, so what was the question? How's Tradespotting? Yes. So it's ridiculous, isn't it? It's ridiculous. Like, I'm becoming increasingly litigious, and it takes up a lot of my time. It will all be worth it in the end, and it's just terrible pain will be wrought against those people who have sinned against me, but it does really take time and energy, and you want to do it properly too, especially when it's costing you money. You make sure it's done properly. So I'm getting litigious with everybody I can. You know, once you've employed the guy, you might as well sort out all your problems. Also, focusing on those long-term things, I was like, you know what, I might as well just, you know, check what's up with that not being able to breathe through my nose thing, and the on 4-year waiting lists. So I spoke to the waiting list coordinator. She was lovely, and I got right to the top, and that other stuff will be sorted out shortly. So it's all great, yeah, all great. It's all great. I shall soon be adopting the appearance of a blonde Mexican and breathing better. Tradespotting, keep at him. Keep on going. Yeah, keeping at them all. There's this aspect to me, right, which is like I don't like the idea of me being a victim of things, right? Even if I am. So what I've decided to be is that if I don't want to be the victim, there is a way of manipulating a dynamic where somebody is putting you in a difficult position where others would look at you and say, oh, that's a little bit of a shame what's happening to him. And I hate that idea. So what I decided to do was to flip the script by becoming increasingly delinquent. So now anything that happens to me, if from any of these influences that if you follow along and you know the people that annoy me, you'll know now that what happens is they keep doing it, but instead of trying to use the rules, which themselves are really slow, and the people that enforce them have got their own careers and families to worry about, and, you know, applying any sort of strict, harsh measure is difficult for any human. So what I do is I'm also becoming very problematic for the people. So, you know, it just makes it really difficult for everybody, and that's the way I like it, you know. So if you know me, you'll know that's true. So you recovered to 50 simple period moving average-ish. Got awful divergence. You're losing the center line and RSI at the same time as that 50 simple net resistance. So yeah, so that's what it is. Yeah, there's an increasingly delinquent Tradespotting kicking up a fuss. Takes loads of time. I'm also parallel to this being increasingly litigious. So everybody's finding it very difficult. Tradespotting, keep at them. Yes, I am. New GM, Mark, RC oversees all. There's a new general manager. Tradespotting, nice one. Breathing properly has changed my life in 6 months since I started it. Worth the Minarastal 1,000,000 times over. Ali H, yo. Yo. Darn tootin', man. Lady, mister. Here, whose business is it of anybody who doesn't already know anyway, eh? Right? So there's, plus it's all, you know, so yes, 1688 to 1711 in the 4-hour March 2021. When was that? The prices back when you last bought some. 1688. When was that? You're not talking about a GameStop piece. That was a very, 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 very good buy if you got in around those levels, yo. So that's the extra market bit times. We don't need that. What am I doing? I'm getting distracted. What was the question? I can't mind. Tradespotting. Yeah, breathing properly. That's a big one, eh? Breathing properly. Because the noise, like this is the noise, right? The noise pollution, that keeps me awake. Which is fine if I want to trade all night and all day and all night and all day and all night. But eventually that stuff catches up with you. So that's like I'll to fix the noise. The noise is a problem. So it's that sleep. But the noise isn't the problem. It's the sleeping is the problem. And not being able to breathe properly makes it difficult to sleep for get a good deep sleep. So I was like, well, if I'm fixing things, I'll fix everything. So fix all those things. You know, also I'm doing the DIY on the house. So it's like every possible way of doing that. Yeah, and then also in the back garden. Yeah, people were using my back garden without permission. And in Scotland and in most countries, the truth is assault is even the threat of assault is assault. If you actually commit assault, that's battery. And then so threatening of assault, that's also a crime. And so you can't even put up in all security, in all peace of mind, a sign saying trespassers will be prosecuted, because that's actually not enforceable and itself questionable. So what I can do instead, though, is fill my back garden with broken bikes and put on lock after lock after lock and on bike after bike after bike. So you can't move. You can't move. So I've been collecting, and it's amazing. No, I've no limit to my levels of delinquency. And people think, well, you wouldn't ruin your own back garden. Well, you haven't met me. Are you going to DIY your nasal passageways? No, I've got a professional to do it for me. I'm going to do it professional. It's like I'm also hesitant to spend the money on the house, right? Because I can like do things that involve manual labor, right? I like the accomplishment afterwards. So I'm hesitant to spend the money, because then I'd resent the guy doing it. I'd be like, you're getting all the benefit from doing this work. And he'd be like, no, the money you're paying me. And I'd be, no, you're going to really enjoy doing it. And he'd be like, no, I'm not. It's my job. And I'd be like, no, you're so lucky. And it would not work out. So I'm going to do the work in the house like I've been doing it all myself. Whereas on my face, and inside my body, I thought, like, I can't do this. I can't be the one to do this. So I'm going to have to relinquish the joy to someone else. So I've decided that's what I'll do. It's really just common sense. Anyway, so this is the 886. It's failing at the 886. It's divergence losing the center line. You've got your 50 simple. I mean, that's not much, is it? You're hanging by the 50 simple, yo. Show you what this looks like. Is that the? Yeah, there he is there. So that's the focus of our investigations. And there he is losing them. Oh, no, don't lose them. Yeah, it did. Lost them. Silly. Right, so if I go up to 1 minute and then turn off the drawings, and you can see for yourself the lackluster reaction to the drop. You want something more enthusiastic, but then it's post-market, and who can buy it really right now? I mean, if you got an exchange that allow you to buy this right now, some people have. If you've got your orders in and you've got them set, an exchange or a broker that lets you, an exchange, what am I talking about? If you've got a broker that lets you put in orders post-market and whatnot, then some people have. Hey, let's see them DRS numbers. They didn't mention them last time, right? Earnings was a bit of a cluster. It was. It was quite fun though, I think. Like I imagine it. You don't see a lot of the earnings calls. You just listen. And I imagine that they're done at a nice big dinner table with a plaid tablecloth. And Matt is doing it while everybody else is sat around the table eating dinner and like nodding and stuff. That's how I think the earnings go. And sometimes they forget to bring the DRS numbers because like there's loads of food around and stuff, and the table's all cluttered in that. Anyway, so we don't get to see it. A bit of a cluster here, but it's all very, very quaint, isn't it? It's like quaint, it's nice, it's familiar. It's not like we're going to be freaked out by the fact that they're not on the phone. Hey, you know what I mean? Or maybe we are. Are we all freaked out about it? Oh no, I'm selling my GameStop shares. They're not on the phone. I need them on the phone. My trading is not showing the candles. What chart type should I be using? The candlestick chart, yo. You've got these choices. Bars, candles, line chart. Yo, point and figure. You've got all sorts of Hikinashi, rank. That is different. But anywho, yeah, Hikinashi, Renko. There's your point and figure here. You could be looking at this. What about that? Whoa. And then you'd go there and you get some relevancy by doing this. You see, right? Lower highs, lower lows. That's what that is. Speaks to distribution, but then all of it's contained within this accumulation, which was subsequent to this huge big run off top. So subsequent to this huge blow off top, there was a huge period of accumulation, and none of this subsequent range has resulted in any technical distribution so far. It just hasn't. And that's what you can tell. Amazing, isn't it, if you're like me? Amazing. Anyway, you're looking for the bars or candlesticks, probably. Bars are handy because they give you like high open, lows, close. You still get with the candlesticks and the colors, so I just prefer to use the candlesticks. There's different trading strategies you can use with each of those things. You should take my course, www.technicalanalysis.school, and then you'll be able to trade like me and get lots of money. Boom! And then keep it all to yourself and hoard it like Scrooge McDuck. Hoard it all, and then don't spend anything. Keep it all, and be like GameStop. Just be like GameStop. Like, yeah, I'm actually quite like GameStop in that. I'm sure a lot of people are like this. Is that you get as much money as possible, hoard it as much as possible, and eventually we'll acquire something else that makes our whole business and life easier when it gets cheap enough, right? When it's like actually out there saying, please buy me GameStop, buy me Tradespotting, you know, that's when you want to be spent. Like, and there's a link in the description down there that's whispering that to you right now. Right at this second. You hear it? Thanks very much for getting a membership, Sararara. Thanks very much for the donation, JS, and cheers for that donation yesterday, Minner. It's appreciated. Boom. So we had Tradespotting show today. It was a very good show, so it was. And it was supported by a membership gift from Sararara and a donation from JS. Thank you so much, buddy. And then earlier you had Rocky's show, and it was a fantastic hootenanny. You got to check it out if you're at all interested in crypto and the price of Bitcoin, because he knows everything that's going on, yo. So we don't need that on the weekly time frame. You did get a nice, interesting little tidbit about distribution there. You also don't need it on the... Why have I still got it on bars? Why is it on bars? There. Why did that not change? Super weird. Anywho. Yes, so what's that doing? Wow, I'm super confused. How many fibs? They don't lie, but they do confuse you sometimes, eh? Especially when they're like tabs like that. That reminds me. Did you ever drink that tab drink? Anyway, stop it. Tinfoil is in the way. Is the way. Tinfoil. There's a craze in tinfoil in Scotland 10, 20 years ago. Huge craze for tinfoil. You know, the dull side is actually the better, more reflective side of tinfoil. Interesting, eh? Same, Aaron. I just bought a ton at the very top right before close, but we'll be back. Kitties, eh? Kitties, that's brilliant that you're in there and being nice to Aaron and in there and you're in good company. Eh? Good company. Definitely better, the good company thing. BBBYQ is coming. It's Ken. It's yourself, Ken. We were talking about you earlier, Ken. And I'm sure we'll be talking about you again in future, no doubt. Mark, not for long, is going to be away from that earnings call table. Maybe going to be appointed at Teddy. Teddy Roosevelt. Is this a Roosevelt? Eh? Well, as long as they're not talking about Nordstrom. Max Furlong was GameStop CEO. I know. Yes. What is there a short? You're not talking to me. This is another problem I have. It's coming out in this. It's coming out. Tradespotting. At least I know myself. Apparently that's supposed to be your life mission. It's like, nah, sorry. Any time for a glance at DOY or silver? You want to look at silver? Joe. Hey, who told you to buy silver? Who told you to buy silver recently? Ha ha ha. Yeah, I like that, by the way. I do. I like that. I like that a lot. So, just rely on that. You know, does the business, yo. Right down to the 15-second time frame. Although I do wonder why it's moving around so much. Why are you jumping around so much? So there's a quick look at that. And what else? CLV. Silver. So you want to get on a 15-second time frame. I like starting on the 15 seconds. It's the best. Gives everybody the best ideas. Right, so you've broken at the top side of this formation. I suppose you'd call it a broadening formation. Really, it's just downward sloping channel. Price action held the basis line, having tested the top side. You got your bullish divergence. Boom. You had your resistance at the top side of the channel. You came back down, found the basis line. That's the midpoint within the channel. That was a bullish reaction. And the most bullish breakout you get from this channel is that type of rounded bottom with divergence straight through the center line, tested the top side, and then an immediate bounce through the basis line to breaking your prior resistance. And if that's coming, breaking the downward slope into the channel, great. And where would you target? Right, you target the prior high from within the formation, which is where you found resistance. And then you'd use the Tradespotting how to trade a breakout video and looked at that retest as an entry. You've got to 50 simple on the 4 hour to break. If you do, price action will go up to the prior highs. You've got your daily time frame, turn on the rocket outcrop flash, turn on 200 period moving average. Support then at the 200 period moving average would also be a prior low and that channel that you exited from where you've most recently tested. So this isn't necessarily a downtrend, nor is it an uptrend at the minute. And if it manages to break that high at 24, then you could go on, fill the gap at 25 and test a prior high at 27 and change, probably get the rocket outcrop flash back up at 29 and change. And that would be your breakout trade on silver. If you're patient, you could be looking at it for any of the areas along that guide there. And if the trend already started and it's not going to come back down too far, then you've got your 236 to break. You get back above 22.04, price action could go crazy. You lose 20.94, then you'll probably be waiting best case scenarios testing somewhere around 20 down to 1943. That would be an extension of that previous formation, which would be the first sign that things weren't going to be the most bullish reaction. So the lower you go here, the less ambitious I'd be about breaking these prior highs and testing these guys and getting this ultimate target. So the sooner that happens, the better. If it does, go boom. Great. If it goes lower than this, then I'd be worried about previous resistance now being strong as it continues on down, and displacement. If you fall back into this channel, you will go down and test these prior lows in around 13, but I don't think that's happening. I think it's actually bullish at the minute. I think it probably does go all the way up to $30. Oh my goodness gracious me, that's a 50% trade. Oh my goodness. VIX went down. Hey, what do you like, VIX? What do you like it? Why is that channel moved? Channel's moving now on me. Why are channels moving on me? So that shouldn't be there. Anywho, thanks very much for joining me for this GameStop update and look around the markets at close of the video then. Eek, that looks brutal, doesn't it? At close of the video on the 15 seconds, auto button going off, and you can see 200 period moving average resistance. Okay, and there's me turning it off. Right, so 200 period moving average, you've got your price action above the center line. The divergence isn't really important on these time frames. It's all about the trend, and so you're looking to the higher lows and lower lows. Higher or lower lows and higher or lower highs. They're all marked across here. The significant one is this guy, which is also here, here, here. In terms of a retracement back to the top side, if you're taking it from the top of that and taking it all the way across the price action, 236 just back above that. So your zone is 22 to 2250. Getting back above that would be strong and be a positive news. And then tomorrow we'd see what happened with GameStop during the day. Might not be that it's completely screwed. Might not be. But if it was that you were selling your covered calls at 24 and change, then oh my goodness gracious me, you made a lot of money. Congratulations. Congratulations. And we did say, for the folks that are doing that, we did say, this is the place. This is where people do People do the covered calls, top side of this downward sloping channel. This is where it is. It's paid a lot of money for a long time for a lot of people. Continues to do so. Price action going back down. It is at the sort of areas where we could still see some more volatility. I don't think all said and done with this move, to be honest. I don't. So pay attention for the rest of the week. Thank you very much for tuning in. Entered badum bump. What did you? Oh, I missed something. CFL, please. You CLF. You betcha, Paul. Stop giving me the wrong clicks. Ah, stop it. I am like a dog with a bone. Oh, you see you're on CFL. CLF again. Yo, Cleveland. Yo, Cleveland. Here, your Tradespotting's lines are still working out, innit? Oh, I see what's going on here. Still got your gap back below. Positive slope, positive splay. Start on the daily time frame. So 50 simple has potentially not completely finished its part in the story at 16 bucks. You're only at 1607, 1608 post market. So 50 simple below the 200 on the daily isn't the greatest of all time. Price action below both could be worse. You've got your bullish divergence here. You've got a rounded bottom on the RSI. Obviously, these are different times, but it's like making a point about that. Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! So yes, you've got a gap there, right, which you have to be aware of back at 1420 or so, and you haven't yet managed to open close above the 50 simple on the daily itself and price action below the 200 period moving average. So that's bearish, and it's got most recently lower highs and lower lows on this leg of the trend. In order to test that trend, the macro trend where it came from, return to the prior lows then at around 11 bucks. You'd get early signs of that if you went through 1540. Yeah, so you get a sign that it goes through at 1540, and then you obviously want to hold $16 because of that 50 simple period moving average. Down to the 4 hour, where you've got that divergence clear and a little bit of a gap. You're welcome, kitties. Maybe most was the trades we made all along the way. Yeah, maybe if you were watching, if you were diligent to the Tradespotting show, I'm sure you've done well. I know I have. There was no call. They didn't hold one. You're darn tooting. They didn't. So Tradespotting stepped in. Right, I was the volunteer today. Everybody else stepped back. We were in a straight line. Anyway, so 1620. You want to break that and head to 18 bucks. That's what you're wanting, isn't it? No, it's yourself, Paul. You probably want it at $1 billion. Hey, we're still talking about this thing. After these significant retests, you really want that to... Wow. Anyway, Jimmy, get your head in the game. Right. 1 hour, you've got a positive cross and price action pushing to the top side in the bullish control zone. I do like that, but is it all she wrote? 4 hour time frame, you've got continuation divergence, and you're below a 200 period moving average, and you've got lower highs and lower lows. And on the daily time frame, we've not yet challenged the 200 period moving average, and it is a little bit worrying. But you're pushing up now, so short term, potentially positive. Post market, you've not done anything worrying. At this little moment in time on the 15th, that you've gone through these significant resistance points, right? This probably could have marked in. It's exactly the same, equidistant between them. And then this guy. All of those, since the initial thrust, have been divergent, as you can see, and you have this gap to aim for. So caution advised, right? Caution very much advised at this stage, despite the fact that on the tiny itsy bitsy time frames it's doing well. Because as soon as you go to somewhere where it's meaningful and look left, you've got this cross of 50 simple 200, and price action likes to test that. So probably come back down. And the fact is that that's below the prior highs of the formation that you're currently above, which would speak to continuation of this downtrend, so that's not fantastic. And then if you're bullish, and that's on as soon as it get meaningful in the early time frame. And again, when you look across and you see like your RSI was so strong, price action, right, it was nowhere near these. Like, sure, it broke back above this part of the formation, but that didn't change the trend. We would have to be doing something significant with regards to this downward sloping thing here, right? This is we're out with that diagonal part of the trend, but it hasn't changed anything technically about the trend. The most recent low there, it's lower low. So it's very much a downtrend, and it wouldn't be anything other than that until it was above 1850. And so the strength you see on the momentum is actually weakness in price because it took that much effort to take it to not very high, right? In fact, just as a measurement from that area, which isn't even the peak, right? It's the point at which you didn't find some inflection. You've only managed to make a 50% recovery. And in doing the 50% recovery, it's taken you everything you had to do what got you to 1850 and whatnot before. And I know you didn't come from as far, but then, you know, if you're going there, you don't want to be starting here. Thanks very much, Paul, for supporting the show. Yeah, all the fannies at like button. Cohen, who wrested control of the company after waging an activist investor campaign that began in September 2020, will take charge of capital allocation and oversee the management team as executive chairman, according to the company previously served as board chairman. Cool. So Ryan stepping in as the executive. Nice to see. Nice to see. Furlong had a good crack at the whip. Is that what you're saying? And he now is out. Furlong out. Furlong out. Cohen's the executive CEO. Well, if nothing else, Ryan Cohen has an opportunity and will be under pressure to show himself as the dynamic, fast-moving individual that he is, right? No flies on Ryan. He's very slick and streamlined. He'll be making progress fast, and he'll be doing everything he can to make it happen. That's what I imagine. And having watched from the board as the chairman since and appointed Matt Furlong, I imagine he's knows everything Matt does and a lot more. So we'll see how that goes. Good to hear. And anybody who was thinking Ryan Cohen's going to up sticks and sell his stake and move on to pastures new, well, now he's the boss again. So that won't be happening, which is a great way to end the show. Thanks very much for tuning in. Hit that like button and think about supporting what I do by being a member on the channel here. You've got great company, or supporting me on Patreon, www.patreon.com/Tradespotting. Be great to get some support there. And the best place that you can spend your time if you want to be a better trader is on Rocky Outcrop's Discord, which you can join for free at www.discord.gg/RockyOutcrop. Thanks very much for watching, and it's great to see everybody. Bye.